when to return, and this place was the perfect spot for him to get some fresh air. If they defeat about 2 more beasts, they can get to the heart of the solitary bamboo grove that they haven't been to before. That's where the best spiritual bamboo the leaders harvest is. He determines to obtain them within the next 3 months. On the other side, the 4th young lord is disappointed to learn that the 3rd young lord is still alive, because the demon lord told him that if he didn't attain peak mastery of the demonic arts, they wouldn't even last 3 months. The demon lord calls him and tells him that he doesn't mind if his disciple gets each other's throat, and it's as if he wants them to understand that they must overcome this to become his successor. He is shocked when the demon lord tells him that the 3rd young lord is doing well because he tried to kill him with poison medicine. Moreover, the demon lord reveals that he plans to summon the 3rd lord soon, which means all the trouble he went through to get rid of him was all for nothing. Conversely, Dongpul has brought all the things ordered by Hajin, and he asks him to bring the cave pine tea leaves because he discovered that its aroma could ward off the beasts. Since it's a bother running into the azure lotus and Xingxing, he figured it would be best to prevent them from approaching, and Dongpul asks him why he wanted the turbid elimination herbs. Still, he says everything is used and asks him to bring more herbs next time. Dongpul reveals that this month, the Demon God's Palace Pharmacy is researching the ratio of the supreme healing potion based on this herb. Since it's the elixir's main ingredient, it will take at least 2 more months to obtain more. Hajin remembers the same supreme healing potion. The physician made him drink for 3 months after he awakened. These herbs can get rid of any turbidity in the body and are fed to a patient who is nearly dead from the symptoms of Kai blockage. The turbid elimination herb is too strong and attacks even the demonic energy. It is okay to use it on a healthy body, but its effects would be fatal to a weakened body, meaning they fed him this medicine on purpose so that he might die. He asks Dongpul if he has ever heard of the silken clarifying needle, and he reveals that it's a form of acupuncture used to tense up the muscles to balance the body when the muscles have loosened up too much. He also had it a few times before going out on some missions after he used the circulating arts to warm up the body, and it's not a procedure that is too difficult and has a fairly good effect on his memory. Hajin thinks the physician served the supreme healing potion on a body in its weakest state and used the silken clarifying needle on a body that was already rigid and wonders who told him to do this. He remembers Angwa told him about the Yorin, the 4th young lord's sister, who came up to see him as soon as he woke up, which means the 4th lord was the one who tried to kill him. On the other side, the physician comes to the 4th lord's room and brings cave pine tea leaves for him, and he asks him if he knows about the most difficult place to infiltrate the cult. The physician asks him if he is referring to the solitary bamboo grove. The 4th leader reveals that the solitary bamboo grove is impenetrable. Not even the high-level executives may enter without the master's permission, but his question is if they can plant eyes in that place to see what is happening there. The physician states that the military office be the most suitable option in this case because he has heard that the general strategist's control over the organization is so tight that not even the demonic elders can touch them. Still, he doesn't like his idea because the military office is an organization that is fairly easy to infiltrate. The general strategist overseeing the military officer is considered a genius of this century. If something happens, he will turn the tide by finding out which forces have infiltrated the military. According to him, the Court of Elders will be the best option because it is an organization that is distant from everything else and only exists to protect the Demon Lord and the cult. It differs from other organizations that will switch sides depending on the authorities involved. Moreover, touching them is equivalent to challenging the Demon Lord, so no one pays any mind to them, as they are untouchable. The physician is shocked when he tells him about the 3rd young lord who is still alive after 8 months in the solitary bamboo grove. He also heard that they had sent someone experienced and talented to guard him, and if he could contact Dongpul, he would ask him to kill the 3rd young lord. Still, the physician says this is impossible because the masters of the demonic elders must be on guard in the solitary bamboo grove. The 4th young lord thinks before heading to the solitary bamboo grove. His body is in peak condition. But it was still at the level of a civilian who had not mastered martial arts, so he asked his physician to gather his men along with enough weapons. The physician asks him why he involves himself directly, but he says he will not believe this battle should turn into a dogfight. He orders him to gather the men who harbor desires for vengeance against Xiaoyang from before his Kai BLC cage, and they will merely put the swords into their hands, and it's not up to them whether they will seek out Xiaoyang with the swords they have been given. Eventually, Hajin goes toward the heart of the solitary bamboo grove and asks Dongpul to stay there until he returns while he tries to stop him because the place is too dangerous. But Hajin is at the point where whatever danger lurks there, it doesn't change the fact that they are running out of time, and he has no intention of giving up on the spiritual bamboo there. He thinks that since he transformed the dark shadow Kai into a demonic art, he won't be able to use the dark god phantom however he wishes. This is the reason why he needed the turbid elimination herbs. He needed to suppress the demonic energy somewhat to activate the dark god phantom. Once he takes the herbs, he will have half an hour, and this time is more than enough to reach the heart. He again asks Dongpul to wait there, saying he will be right back, but he says he has to behead him first to leave the place. So he has no other option except to accompany him, and they reach the place where Hajin hunted the horse beast last time and think this is the heart's entrance. They observe that something is stinking there and looks like something is rotting, and they are shocked to see that many beasts have died there. They all died by vomiting blood, and there were a few beasts they had never seen before. One of the beasts looks like a leopard and is called Menji. It's a beast at the top of the hierarchy in the solitary bamboo grove. They hear that it doesn't leave the heart of the solitary bamboo grove unless necessary. Dongpul reveals it is the beast with the second highest spiritual Kai in the solitary bamboo grove, which even the seniors haven't seen. The first most dangerous beast is called the Sundered Serpent, a snake with 2 tails, and Dongpul is also seeing him for the first time. But Hajin says it doesn't seem all that strong and doesn't even look venomous because it has died like all other corpses like the rest and looks like they all were defeated by something, but it is confusing that they don't have any injury on their bodies. Moreover, the spiritual bamboo that should be much thicker and thriving near the heart is all withered and dead, and it's as if everything in this vicinity had its life force sucked out of them. Suddenly, Hajin felt a cool breeze coming from the side of the heart of the solitary bamboo grove. He asks Dongpul to stay there, and he proceeds from there and doesn't follow him no matter what happens. On the other side, the demon lord is sitting in his room when he observes a jackal appear in front of him in his observations. He thought they would have no reason to see each other while the jackal attacked him, and he fell on the ground in his room. He orders his main to summon the first guardian, and after some time, the first guardian appears in front of him and pays him his respect. When he goes into solitary training, the demon lord asks him if any guardian entered the heart of the solitary bamboo grove, but he replies that no such thing occurred. He then asks him about the third guardian Dongpul, who went along with the third young lord, and the first guardian tells him that he is one of the strongest of the 10 masters in the Council of Elders. The demon lord wonders if he is Dongpul, who appeared as a jackal in front of him, and wonders if he could rage the mountains. Meanwhile, Hajin enters the forest's heart and feels the terrifying Kai in the wind, which gets stronger the closer he goes to the heart. It is getting hard for him to walk straight, and the Kai he is sensing is similar to that of the demon lord. He is trying to walk, and even though he enveloped himself in demonic energy, he is still suffering internal injuries and the blood is getting out of his mouth, and at this rate, he will not last longer. He takes out the turbid elimination herb that will surpass his demonic energy and uses his stealth technique, and as soon as he takes it, its effect spreads all over his body. He feels lighter, and the wind is blowing right through his body. And this is the dark shadow art's dark god, the Phantom. At this rate, he can reach the heart within the period of the medicinal effects of the turbid elimination herbs wear off. Suddenly, he slips and falls to the ground. He notices a mysterious, clever-looking fox and is surprised to see it. He wonders what he is doing there. He remembers Dongpul told him that the deeper he went, the stronger beasts would appear, but he got a little fox there. But according to where he is right now, he should not let his guard down, but it looks so cute that he wants to pet it. But he continues his journey, reaches the end, and thinks this is smaller than he thought. He touches one of the spiritual bamboo, and the spiritual Kai emitting from it is tremendous, and he can sense the Kai there is the most concentrated. If he purifies just 3 of them, he might be able to become the strongest martial artist in terms of internal energy, but he is not capable of absorbing 3 and thinks he should just take 1 for now. Suddenly, he notices a bamboo shoot there, and the Kai of this is pure, and he will be able to take it without having to use the purification technique, so he tries to take it out of the land. In this process, he makes a lot of noise, which causes the fox to wake up. Meanwhile, Hajin starts eating bamboo shoots, but he doesn't feel kai flowing in his body except for some warmth in his chest. After that, he takes out his sword and strikes a bamboo, but it doesn't cut, and he thinks his sword is weak. He strikes another bamboo with his full might, but gets angry when it doesn't affect the bamboo. After that, he emits his sword aura and strikes the bamboo, and this time it cuts into 2 pieces. He is surprised that it is so hard, feels like steel, and can be used as a weapon. Suddenly, the fox appears beside him, and he gets scared to see it and jumps backward. He asks him when he woke up and wonders how he appeared there as he was distracted by the spiritual bamboo, but should have noticed it was there. After some time, he gets back to Dongpol, brings spiritual bamboo along with him, brings that fox with him, and tells him that it followed him all the way there. He tells him that he found it sleeping in the middle of the solitary bamboo grove, and when he tried to pet it, it almost bit his fingers off. He then uses the boundless technique to purify the bamboo because carrying it to the city garden is very hard. Suddenly, he is shocked to see that the bite marks are gone, and Dongpol tries to attack the fox, saying it dares to put its teeth on the young lord. He asks him to let him go, asks if he is going even after animals now, and asks him to come to him. The bamboo is too big to carry back, so he will purify it. He uses the boundless technique to purify it, and Dongpol thinks that technique is always amazing to watch. In a flash, all the impurities disappear, and the air is clean. Dongpol is surprised to see him as he doesn't look like a youth in his 20s, but he is like an experienced pugilist who has lived for many decades. He has done its purification, and the sap inside this spiritual bamboo is the best elixir there. He asks Dongpol to drink it first, but he asks him how he dares to drink this precious water. Hajin gets bored and asks him if he is not tired of being so humble all this time, and Dongpol says it's only right that he is the only one to drink this. Hajin asks him if he is going to be like this all the time, and he says they have developed a bond and asks him to drink it hurriedly. He has saved his life enough time to deserve this, and he feels bad saying he should give him all of this, but he is only giving him half. He works hard and is stuck in a place like this from the start. Dongpol bows before him and promises to protect him until his duty ends. Hajin asks him to stop saying this and asks him to drink it already, but he gets emotional and says even when his duty is over, he will never forget this great favor he has given him until the day he dies. Hajin gets bored of his oaths and forcefully puts the sap in his mouth, and when he is done with it, he feels something coming this way. Soon, all the beasts of the solitary bamboo grove crowded around them, so Hajin hurriedly took all kai to drink to boost his stamina. He asks Dongpol if he has memorized this place, and he ensures that he has fully memorized it. They decide to run away from there when he is surprised to see the fox still sleeping there and thinks he can't leave it behind when it follows him all the way there. He orders Dongpol to carry it in his arms and run to ensure it doesn't get hurt. Meanwhile, a Xingxing appears from a side and jumps upon him to attack him. Dongpol asks him to step aside and he will cut them off, but he punches him, saying when he says something to him, then he has to obey him. Dongpol is shocked at such a powerful fist aura and thinks what an amazing martial arts power he has. He asks him to watch out since there is a lotus behind him and he is coming to attack him. He uses the heaven-splitting triple slash and cuts the Xingxing into parts. He uses his Assassin King's ultimate technique, which he has to hide while practicing demonic arts. Now, it is the time to inhibit himself from the kind of martial arts he uses for the sake of training. On the other side, the demon lord learns that the jackal, the owner of the solitary bamboo grove, abandoned its spiritual ground and came out. He can see the third young lord through his demonic judgment pavilion and observes that after surviving kai blockage, he has changed and become a completely different person. The essence of the third he saw in the demonic judgment pavilion is death. Now he is killing all the beasts of the solitary bamboo grove. Soon he kills all the beasts present there, and the demon lord wonders what the jackal has seen in the third young lord. Now he is glad that he called him to the demonic judgment pavilion. At the same time, a huge tiger appears in front of him. He is surprised to see this beast and wonders if he is the leader of the solitary bamboo grove or something. Suddenly, the leopard rushes to attack him, and he dodges it, saying he is attacking him when he is saying hello. He thinks he doesn't like this forest at all, and he uses the technique of grasshopper ascension and is taking his head on. If he combines the demonic arts, a simple footwork technique like grasshopper ascension can also become a well-executed attack. He defeats the beast and is a bit disappointed because he thought he was supposed to be one of the strongest in the solitary bamboo grove. He asks him to stop pretending and come back out since he doesn't have much time today, and the leopard comes out to attack him furiously. It has gotten faster than before and attacks him at full speed. Hajin falls back to the ground at a distance, and he is surprised to see that they are in the group. He then gets up angrily and asks if they have a death wish. One of the beasts rushes towards him to attack, and he thinks that attack just now was ridiculously powerful, and if he takes another one of those attacks, he might just get to meet King Yan in the underworld. However, he has had to taste all the beasts there at least once. The power of his demonic arts feels different, and it's because of the spiritual bamboo, and spiritual kai from the bamboo hasn't been fully turned into demonic energy yet. The spiritual kai lessens the force of the demonic energy, weakening his demonic arts. On top of that, these leopards just keep coming to him, and he doesn't have any turbot elimination herbs left, so he can't use his stealth arts. He tries to run away, but there are some behind him. It looks like they are just attacking instinctively without reason, but they are as powerful as a peak master. He gets seriously injured and will end up dying if he drags things out. They are so fast that they do not give him time to think, and he tries to hit them all, thinking he can't get hit twice. He punches one of them and passes him out, but he doesn't have time to punch all of them one by one. If he keeps fighting them individually, he will be at this forever. They are large in number and have surrounded him from all sides, and he thinks he doesn't have any choice now. It's pointless to fight them individually, and he needs to defeat them all at once to be able to get out of there. If his demonic arts have weakened, he has to increase his demonic energy to make it stronger again. He then gathers his energy and tries to destroy them all with this attack. He uses the technique of explosive mountain blasts, and there is a sudden massive explosion there. With this, all the beasts have been defeated. Meanwhile, Donpal runs away, taking the jackal with him, and wonders what is happening in the forest where Hajin is fighting with the beasts. He feels the forest just shaking now and wonders if it happened due to the young lord. After a while, Hajin tries to get back from there but loses his path, and after using such a strong demonic art, his legs feel like they weigh thousands of tons, but he can see bamboo all around. He needs to get out of there as soon as possible. Otherwise, he might come across other beasts. Suddenly, he felt the bamboo in this place didn't contain any moisture, and all the bamboo there was like that. This is the same scene as the one at the entrance to the depths of the solitary bamboo grove, and he thinks there must be corpses of beasts nearby. Suddenly, a large serpent appears behind and rushes toward him to attack, but he sees him in time and puts his sword in its mouth. The serpent rolls his body around his arm, and he feels like his bones are breaking with so much pressure, and his sword starts rusting due to its poison. The sundered serpent is known to cause droughts, and they are stronger than the horse beasts and Xingxing, and now he cannot get it away from him. Eventually, Donpal appears there, stabs his sword in its mouth, and kills it. Hajin thanks him for saving his life. He is glad to see that he doesn't have any serious injuries and asks him if he can get up, and he replies that his sword almost scared him to death. Hajin asks him why he didn't leave the forest, and he asks him how a guard can leave his master behind. He says he won't leave without him. As soon as he gets up, another herd of leopards reaches there, and he thinks they reach there faster than he expected. He asks Donpal how far the exit is from there and replies that it is about 2 kilometers. The distance is too far to try to shake them off by running away, as they will surely catch them, so he needs to end things there to get out of there. They have to leave this place together, and Hajin jumps upon them to kill all of them. He is so strong that he kills them in just one blow, and Donpal uses his sword to kill them. After killing them all, Hajin gets so weak that he can't even stand properly, so he asks Donpal to carry him on his back from this point on. But another herd of leopard appears there again. They both get tired and can't fight them, and there is no time to run away from them. Hajin thinks this may be the end of his life. He thinks he managed to come back alive after that horrible death, and now he can't let this life end like this. Donpal calls him and says there is no time, and he needs to run away in the direction he came from. Suddenly, the leopard roaring at them was scared to see the jackal in front of them. Hajin asks him what he is doing there, but it emits light from its eyes, and there is a sudden flash of light in the forest. They both get unconscious, and the next morning, when Hajin wakes up, he sees the jackal sitting behind him. He gets up and wonders what happened to him and if he has died again. He is hurting all over, so he must be alive, and he asks the jackal if he did something. It jumps over his body, and he asks him to stay away from him, but he watches him with his cute little shiny eyes. He then calls Donpal to get up and do something. At the same time, at the Heavenly Demon Divine Cult capital, everyone there hails in front of the Heavenly Demon Divine Cult. All young lords are present except the third young lord. The meeting starts, and the first guardian reveals that the expected expenses for the upcoming Mara festival are about 57,000 nyong. He exclaims that it is a full 12,000 nyong more than last year, and the special strike forces are out on duty, so there should be a lot fewer attendees. The first guardian is curious as to how the expenses increase despite that, and he would like an explanation for that internal enlightenment facility master. One of the court ladies came forward and said she would explain that. She reveals that it is confirmed that 4 out of the 7 families of the demon cult will be attending, with the demon sword family as the key member. The 7 families of the demon cult are renowned families who have protected the sect for hundreds of years. So, she believes it is only right that they show them the cult's dignity and generosity by awarding them accordingly. She is the Heavenly Demon Divine Cult Internal Enlightenment Facility Master, So Yonsum. Demon Lord replies to her that history proves the cult's dignity, and it has prevailed until now, and it will prevail for 1,000 years forth. If the head of the family's heads attends the ancestral rite, then they will be honored with the 6 heavenly spirit brews, which the Demon Lord himself will make. The first guardian states that the cult's dignity and generosity are expressed through the Demon Lord, not money, so he orders her to decrease the expected expenses. Yonsum bowed before him and said she didn't consider this matter deeply enough and would provide a new proposal for approval before noon tomorrow. After a while, the first guardian reveals that it is all for the progress reports from the internal and external demonic heads. The Demon Lord assumes that the first young lord is still training, and he tells him that he hasn't yet come out of the third guardian demon hall. He then asked the second lord to come forward, and the second young lord, Guan Pyong, bowed before him. The Demon Lord asks him if he is planning to go back to training, and he replies that martial arts is already ingrained into his everyday life. He believes it's meaningless to undergo closed-door training until the time comes for him to undergo another period of change. Everyone thinks he is so bold since he is so confident in his martial arts skills in front of the Demon Lord. The Demon Lord announces there is no need for teaching for those who know where they stand and asks him to do as he pleases. Everyone thinks this is such a compliment from someone who harshly judges martial arts. Aside from the first young master, who is still in seclusion, the second young master might be the best contender, and the second lord thanks the Demon Lord for the compliment. Next, he asks the fourth lord to come forward and says he is different from a few days ago, and it seems like he has been working hard. However, he says the fourth lord is late, and if he wants to overpower others, he must throw himself into the training and then some more. The fourth lord bows before him and promises him to keep his instructions in mind, and he thinks the Demon Lord always asks him to devote himself. He believes what he has to focus on right now isn't martial arts, but expanding a force of supporters. He just needs to keep doing what he has been doing. After that, the Demon Lord calls the fifth lord, and the Heavenly Demonic Divine Cult's fifth young lady, Ju Seoyun, comes forward and pays her respects to the Demon Lord. The Demon Lord appreciates her and says there is a limit to how much her current martial arts can boost her talents, and asks her to go with the Elder Court Master after this meeting. The second and fourth lords get jealous to see her getting praised by the Demon Lord. He asks her to choose one of the 10 great demonic arts, and Seoyun says she will never forget this generosity. The fourth leader wonders if he needs to change his plan toward the fifth lady since he just praised her. It is revealed that the sixth is supposed to attend the Mara festival with the patriarch, and the Demon Lord calls the seventh and says it seems like she has neglected her health. She is the Heavenly Demonic Divine Cult's seventh young lady, Ki Yoman, and the Demon Lord says the cult is not a place for spoiled children, and she wouldn't be in this state now if she was just stronger. He advises her to work harder and asks her if she is afraid of death, but she doesn't seem to be in good health and is about to cry. The Demon Lord exclaims he has never taught any of them to rest, and if they really want power, then they shouldn't be bound by their limits. He then says the third young lord is late and orders the first guardian to bring him. Suddenly, the door opened, and the third young lord, Seoryang, heard the scared lord's call. Seoyun thinks she heard that the third young lord has recovered, but he has lost his martial prowess, and the fourth is shocked to see that he is already out of the solitary bamboo grove. The third lord greets the demon lord, and he seems impressed by his appearance. He feels a dense and luxuriant demonic energy and wonders how much training he has undergone during this period for him to be unconsciously boiling over with demonic energy like that. He praises him with the word excellent, and everyone is shocked to hear such a compliment from the demon lord. That's the highest praise the demon lord has ever given, and he asks him about the solitary bamboo grove and asks him if it is a good place to get a breath of fresh air. Hajin replies it was surprisingly refreshing and thinks he has experienced an entire life's worth of weird things in there. The demon lord gets up and asks him to follow him, and Hajin is shocked at why he asks him to come with him. He wonders if his reply is rude, and the demon lord orders the first guardian to take care of the rest. The royal meeting ends with his departure, while Hajin wonders if he will send him a more terrifying place since he survived the solitary bamboo grove. After a while, the guards are discussing the recalculation of the budget, and Yoon says things are going to get busier for everyone too. One of the elders asks her why the general strategist didn't attend today's meeting. She replies that he has always been busy, but she doesn't think he is busy because of the Mara festival. She heard the Northern Orthodox sects have started an interesting business recently, and it's probably because of that. The man says regardless of where they are from, he has never come across a sane person who claims to be from an Orthodox sect, and they are probably up to something pointless again. Meanwhile, a man approaches them and asks about the third lord. He says it was his first time seeing the demon lord give such high praise. They heard he was broken by Kai blockage, but it doesn't look like that ever happened. The fourth lord is getting jealous and thinks not only has he come back alive, but he has got the attention of everyone too. He thinks he should have killed him when he was suffering from Kai blockage. On the other side, the demon lord takes him to a cozy garden, and he thinks it doesn't fit the vibes of the demonic cult. After a while, the demon lord asks him to sit, and he sits thinking he survived 8 months in that hellish solitary bamboo grove and did everything he told him to do, so he hasn't done anything wrong. He then offers him some alcohol and says he has yet to learn the Black Dragon mountain moving technique, and he wonders what that is. He can't even ask what that is in this kind of atmosphere, and he can't even drink because it's so uncomfortable. The demon lord says he has mixed something in his true demonic art, and Hajin is shocked at what he saw through his martial arts. The demon lord says it seems to be a martial art from the Buddhist sects, and Hajin is shocked that he can tell that just by looking at him. He knows that he's strong, but he is actually able to see through one's martial arts just by looking at them, and he wonders if he has modified the true demonic art without asking. He gets scared and thinks he is going to be sent to a place much worse than the solitaire bamboo. But the demon lord praises him and says he is impressed by him. He says it's not easy to create a martial arts technique that's higher in level than the 10 great demonic arts. However, being complimented by the demon lord so suddenly is making him shy. He exclaims that he tried many things but found them to be the best for getting stronger, and the results are rather good. The demon lord says he didn't think far enough ahead and says the demonic art may be lacking in power and impact, but as a foundation, it's the best technique of their cult. He asks Hajin if he has given a bit more thought and wouldn't have had to modify it with any other martial arts. He exclaims the third lord has made a flower bed in a place where a tree should have grown, and he wonders what the lord is saying since he said earlier that he was excellent. After a while, the demon lord says his martial arts are fine since he has achieved good results and asks him to leave. Hajin wonders. First, he pours him a drink, and now he wants him to go and is unable to understand why he even called him there. If he wanted to blabber on about his martial arts, then he should have sent him a letter. Anyhow, he gets up and takes his leave, and the demon lord asks him to take a bottle with him. It's a reward for his good work, and he thinks he never thought that the third lord would mix in Buddhist arts to create a new art. He wonders if the third will surprise him again next time, and if this happens, then this winter will be an interesting one. After a while, when he is leaving in a carriage, he thinks he can't breathe when he is with the demon lord. The more he thinks about it, the funnier this seems. He is the demon lord, but he gives him a half-drank bottle of alcohol instead of a new one, and Gonpal grabs the bottle and says this is the 6 heavenly spirit brew. He tells him that this is something only the most honorable martial artists in the cult can drink, and asks him if the demon lord gave this to him by himself. Hajin shockingly asks him what is so great about this, and he reveals that the 6 Heavenly Spirit Brew is the cult's highest grade liquor and something enjoyed by the past and current demon lords. It is a special drink that is bestowed upon those who have accomplished great deeds, and just getting to drink this is great glory and honor. Moreover, the demon lord himself made this, and it is a drink that even money can't buy. Hajin is surprised to see that he is a real fan of the demon lord. He asks him to drink together when they return, but he states that his duty is done once he escorts him to his residence. He needs to return to the court of elders and says it was an honor to work with him. Hajin asks him if he is fine with not drinking this, and he asks him to give him some time to think about it. After some time, he is finally back to his home, and it's nice to see this place again after such a long time. Suddenly, he is surprised to see the jackal beside him and wonders when it appears there. He thinks he will take care of it from now on. It had been a while since he saw Anqua too, but as soon as he entered the home, he felt an ominous aura that spread everywhere. He thinks someone must be there before him, and judging by the scent, it hasn't been long since they left. He also finds the way they left, and he wonders who they dare to hide in his residence. In the meantime, Anqua opens the door and is happy to see him there. She bowed before him and said the divine teachings are unquestionable, and all the demons prostrate before him, and she greeted the 3rd young lord. He asks her to get up and says she doesn't need to do this, and she hears something bad happen to him in the solitary bamboo grove. Hajin thinks he didn't consider her enough, but she must have been waiting for him, and he asks her why she looks thinner than before. But she is just glad to see that he is okay, and he praises her work since the residence is very clean, even though he has been gone for 8 months. She tells him that she drops by every day to clean so that he can return any day and feel comfortable. Hajin thinks Anqua is fine then. They must have just been watching her quietly, and she states that she has yet to heat the water because she just received the news about his return. She asks him if he wants to eat something first, but he tells her he wants to shower first. He wants to clean himself from the dirt from the solitary bamboo grove. After some time, he takes a bath and feels all that tension has been relieved. He thinks about the presence he sensed when he came back. He wonders if it was the person who was glaring at him at the meeting, and the person who caused his Kai blockage, the 4th young master Hong Yuemoon. Suddenly, he gets angry at him and says he is dead once he gets him. He is going to be busy once again, and he needs first to get an understanding of how the heavenly demon divine cult functions. There's nothing he knows at the moment other than the fact that the leader is the demon lord. With so little information, he doesn't have any control. He can't predict what the demon lord would do, so he's out of the question. He needs to find out who the people who will be of help to him are. He will have to bring them to his side and gain enough influence to be able to go in and out of the cult as he wishes. With that, he will be able to leave someday and gain freedom, and now at least the silver lining is that he is the noble demon lord's 3rd disciple. No one might know what he is planning, but at least on the outside, he is of high status. He plans to climb up the social ladder higher in this life and have some fun. On the other side, a guard comes to the 4th young master and asks him to quit smoking for his health. He replies that he has been smoking quite a bit lately, but he will quit it when it is time to do so. He then asks him why he got the ones in the 3rd young master's residence to return, and thinks the 4th young master has good insight, but he can't understand his actions this time. He just keeps smoking instead of finishing the job he started, and he replies that he didn't know how the 3rd lord would react, so he had them return. The guardian asks him if he already predicted how he would react and had planned accordingly, and he replies that he thought he knew, but he was wrong. The guard is shocked to hear that the young master just admitted to being wrong, and he states that he saw the 3rd lord at the meeting today. It was his first time seeing him after the Kai blockage incident, and he felt much different than before. He's a lot better too, and he doesn't know what happened in the solitary bamboo grove, but he seems to have recovered his martial arts too. However, the reason he ceased the plan isn't that he regained his martial arts, but he felt that he looked like the 3rd lord he knew. But it felt like he was looking at a different person, like he was a whole other person. He felt his eyes were looking at him as if he knew everything that he had done. He says he is not doing this just because he recovered his martial arts and got a bit stronger, but he needs to reorganize his thoughts about himself. The guardian thinks he is not speaking the truth right now and is confused by the change in the 3rd young master. He then asks him what the subordinates are doing after being ordered to back off, and he tells him that they are all complaining about the cancelled plans. The fourth young master asks him to comfort them with some money, and they are as obsessed with money as the third young master is, so they will be found as long as they get money. He thinks trying to attack the third young master is not a good idea right now, and he needs to go with another plan. On the other hand, Hajin waits for Dongpul for a long time at the dinner and asks him why he is so late, but he is shocked to see so much food on the table. He tells him that Anqua prepared all this and asks him to sit down and start eating. Anqua asks him if it is really okay for her to sit down there with him and if she can eat later of her own. But he shouts at both of them, asks them to stop saying weird things in front of good food, and asks them to start eating hurriedly. After dinner, they all drink the alcohol given by the demon lord and drink a lot of alcohol. After 3 bottles, they are out of alcohol now, and he feels Dongpul is a bit drunk and asks him to stop drinking. But he exclaims that he is not drunk at all, and he asks Anqua to bring more drinks for them. He then asks him permission to ask him a few questions before the drinks come, and he permits him to ask whatever he wants. Hajin says he wants to meet someone who knows all about networks and connections within the organization. He replies that a few people are pretty knowledgeable about the organization of things. Still, with human relationships, he heard the military office's general strategist is good with networking, but it will be hard to meet him. He suggests that he should meet the Internal Enlightenment Facility Master, and at the same time, the fourth young master orders the Guardian to send a message to the Internal Enlightenment Facility Master, So Yeonsum. He has invited her to dinner tomorrow for a conversation, while he says it's dangerous to contact the Internal Enlightenment Master so rashly. Considering her personality, she will try to avoid interfering in the conflict between disciples and suggests he buy her resentment instead if he rushes into asking for her cooperation. He warns him, saying if he makes an enemy out of the Internal Enlightenment Facility Master, it would be of great detriment to him. The fourth young master knows about these circumstances but wants to take risks. Now that the lynx has changed into a viper, so they have to change their weapon. The next morning, Anqua is cleaning the floor and thinks her young master drank so much last night, but now he seems fully fine and is training very hard. She is watching him while preparing and thinks he is just amazing and, as expected, not just anyone can be a disciple of the Demon Lord. Last night, Dongpul told him that the general strategist would be the expert in that, and he is the head of the military, the most powerful group in the cult. However, it is difficult for anyone other than the Demon Lord to meet with him, especially these days. He heard that he is even busier, so it will be very difficult to meet him. He then brags by saying the Court of Elders is also very good. After all, they are the ones who protect the Demon Lord and the cult. They are the best organization in the Heavenly Demon Divine cult, and Hajin asked him if anyone else was familiar with the details of the interpersonal relationships there. He then tells him about So Yeonsum, that the Internal Enlightenment Facility Master will definitely be well versed in that. She has great power as she takes care of finances and will probably have good information on the relationships between people. However, he doesn't think they would tell him anything easily, and leaking information containing personal views is taboo. After that, Dongpul asked him why he was asking him about this. Meanwhile, Anqua brings drinks for them, and they change the topic. Now he thinks about So Yeonsum's internal enlightenment, but as Dongpul said, dealing with her won't be easy. Someone who is the head of a facility that deals with finances is bound to have a lot of authority, and things might go wrong if he approaches her rashly. But he is worried about Fourth, who is blatantly targeting him with his subordinates even within the cult, and he is mistaken when he thinks he will return to a safe life once he is back from the solitary bamboo grove. Whether he is in the Heavenly Demon Divine cult or outside it, there will be people who are after his neck, and he needs people who will have his back and be on his side. He has learned from his previous life what happens when he fights alone without any friends. He is training very hard and is breaking the stones, while Anqua is tired of cleaning the floor and wonders when she will finish it. After a while, Hajin gets tired, and it may be because there are a lot of things on his mind, and he is not supposed to leave any marks like these behind. In the meantime, Dongpul enters there and asks him if he is training. He offers him the sword he mentioned, which is similar in length to the one he used to use. He opens the sword, and there is a huge amount of energy in the air. Hajin likes the sword and thanks Dongpul for bringing something good for him. After that, he says he is going somewhere to make his future, and the jackal is also with him. He asks Dongpul if he would like to come along if he is not busy. On the other side, at the high-class spring flower pavilion, the fourth young master welcomes So Yeonsum to his house for dinner. He requests her to come and tells her that he has asked for the most valuable dishes, but he doesn't know if they're to her taste. Later, they start the conversation, and she tells him that the spring flower pavilion is under his management, and she knows best how good the food there is. The fourth lord laughs and says he didn't know he invited the owner of this place there and played host instead. The servants serve them the food, and she asks him the reason he invited her there, and he exclaims that there's no particular reason. He just wanted to buy her a meal since she always worked so hard for the cult. He observes her quietly and thinks she is a woman who's endured decades in this battlefield called the divine cult, and climbed up the ladder to the position of internal enlightenment facility master. She has strong self-esteem and knows her values well, and he thinks he needs to act carefully as with the general strategist, it's not easy scoring a meeting with her. After some time, all the servants leave the room, and Yeonsum asks him to tell the reason why he called her there. He comes to the topic and says he needs her help, but she gets up thanking him for the gift, and says she will see her around. The fourth lord asks her if his request makes her uncomfortable, but she says she doesn't take sides when it comes to candidates. She doesn't know about the other organizations, but she cannot endorse such actions, and her facility manages the internal affairs of the entire cult, and if they don't keep a neutral stance, the cult will be established. The fourth master thinks even if she is the internal enlightenment facility master, it's just one of many organizations of the cult, and he expected her to know this. He takes his drink on the table and says she seems to be mistaken. He is only asking her to lend a hand and is not asking her to side with him. She replies that there is not much difference between these two statements, and he exclaims that he knows how important the internal enlightenment facility is. She then asks him to remember that he will not endorse any candidate, and he states that such a statement is not written in the cult's laws though. She says her statements are expressions of loyalty to the cult, and he suggests she change her mind on the matter, but she takes her leave thanking him for the meal. He calls her from behind and says he heard she needs the green turtle 4-leaved clover, and says it's a very rare herb and it can't be found in even Yunnan, where most of the cult's herbs come from. He heard it's an herb that one can hardly find even near the eastern seas, and he will give it to her if she needs it. She turns back and asks him how he knows about that, and the fourth young master asks her if this is so important to her. She inquires him about the answer, but he demands something in return for the answer and says he doesn't make deals that make him lose out. She asks him if he is threatening him, and the fourth master asks how he can threaten her, the internal enlightenment facility master. It's just that he happens to be in a difficult situation, so he hopes that she understands. One needs to offer something, and the other wants to have a smooth negotiation, and he believes the green turtle 4-leaf clover is a good example of that in this case. She gets ready to hear him out at least one time and asks him to say what he wants. He exclaims that he wants something that could be considered a favor between friends and wants to give a secret order to a servant. He asks her if she knows a servant named Anghwa, and she says she is a servant who works in the third young lord's residence and requests her to have a report on what the third young lord has been doing for 3 months. She asks him if he is planning to do something to him, and he asks her not to ask questions that cannot be answered. She states that he asked her for a difficult favor first and asked if it was a difficult request. She asks him what they will do if she gets caught reporting on his daily activities, and he says all she has to do is not get caught. She just needs to tell Anghwa to go on with her daily life as usual and send a simple letter after the day's work. Even if a problem were to occur, then the solution is simple. He states that the truth is as empty as tobacco smoke, and if they were to get rid of the tobacco pipe, then no one would know who the smoker was. When Yeonsum refuses to do this for him, he asks if he has asked for something very big from him. She tells him that she doesn't even know what kind of person Anghwa is, and she can't have her spy on someone for him. He then asked her to change it to someone else, someone she could trust. She is about to say something, but he interrupts her and says he knows she can do anything as long as she decides to. He asks her for the last time if she can do this, but she stays silent, and he takes her silence as consent. Suddenly, they are shocked to see Hajin already present there and listening to their conversation. He asks the fourth young master how long he will drink with these cheap cups, and says he has cheap alcohol, but his cups are clean. They are shocked to see him there and wonder what he is doing there, and he asks him if he is going to drink from those old dirty cups or if he will come to drink with them. The fourth young master asks him why he has come there, and he replies that he struggled quite a bit looking for her and he was wondering where she might be. She bows before him and pays her respect to him, and Hajin says she doesn't need to be formal. The fourth master comes forward and asks him what he is doing there and asks his guards to take him outside since he is entertaining a precious guest. He replies that he has come there to look for the facility master and asks him to calm down, but he says it is insulting to interrupt them so suddenly. He ignores them and asks Yonism to join him for a second round of drinks, but she apologizes to him and says she has already accepted the fourth young lord's invitation. He then asks her to join him for a second round after this meeting, and she wonders what he is planning to do. He asks her if she needs the green turtle 4-leaf clover. He exclaims that there are usually 2 reasons why someone would need the green turtle 4-leaf clover. One is when it is necessary to rapidly reduce the concentration of yin-kai due to excessive depletion of yang-kai, and the other is when one is inflicted with 9 yin meridian failures. However, both of those situations can be resolved with herbs other than the green turtle 4-leaf clover. He exclaims that there is no way someone like the fourth young master wouldn't know that, so it must mean he is in a situation where the green turtle 4-leaf clover cannot be substituted. He asks her if someone he knows was inflicted with kai blockage from trying to learn yin cultivation, and she shockingly asks him how he knows about this. He sits on the chair and says he doesn't know what kind of state the patient is in, but unless they are on the brink of death, they don't need the green turtle 4-leaf clover. It might actually be more dangerous to use that, and it might mess with the yang kai instead of just repressing the yin kai. He starts eating and says he knows she is anxious because she is worried about the patient, but there is no need to bend over backward to try and get the herb. She is shocked to see him and wonders why he is so kind, and if this man in front of him is really the young lord she knows. The fourth young master calls him and asks if he is listening to their conversation, and he replies that he was just standing in front of the door and heard something about the green turtle 4-leaf clover. He starts shouting at him and asks if he thinks this behavior is befitting of the third young lord of the divine cult. Hajin counter-questions him and asks if trying to kill his siblings behind the scenes in order to obtain sovereignty is befitting of his behavior. The fourth master asks what he is talking about, and he asks him if he is asking this question because he doesn't know. He calls him a fool who can't even control his subordinates and says he can understand this much, but he doesn't need to use his cheap tricks on the youngest. She is just a barely 10-year-old child, and she says the 7th young lady looked so frail at the meeting. Yonsem is also shocked to learn that the one who made her like that was the 4th young lord, but he starts shouting and says he will not tolerate any more slander, even if it's him, the 3rd brother. Hajin says he endured a near-death incident, so his brother should be able to tolerate some harsh remarks. Hajin says he has no proof, so there is no point in rambling on and getting up, asking Yonsem what she will do now. He says the deal is pointless now and asks her if she will stay there. She asks him if there is any way to improve the condition of someone with kai blockage, and he asks her if she doesn't know he was inflicted with kai blockage himself and recovered from it despite some fool's attempt at killing him by interfering with the medicine. The 4th lord shouts at her and asks if she is going to keep listening to him, and she thinks if it's the same deal, then there's no reason for her to do it with a hateful person. She thanks him for his invitation, says she will pay for her share, and leaves him saying goodbye. Hajin calls him, says he is going with his guest, and thinks his face is a sight to behold. He tells her he only has some cheap wine, and she says it's fine as long as the cup is clean. After that, the 4th young master called his guard and asked him how long the 3rd lord was listening. He replies that he came in so suddenly, and they couldn't stop him, and he says they have no choice now that the plan went wrong. They will have to do it themselves. He wanted to avoid getting himself directly involved, but he would make him pay for this humiliation and pain. At the same time, Hajin takes her to his residence, says there's no need to think of it as some great favor, and just tells him the treatment method, excluding the explanation of martial arts. He says it won't be difficult though, and it will probably take about 3 days just to understand and attempt the treatment. There won't be any significant changes at first. He can't be certain since he doesn't know the patient's condition. However, with patience and determination, about half a year should be enough for the patient to regain movement. He says it depends on the effort and disposition of the patient, and if the patient's condition is not that bad and they are talented, then they will probably be able to move around without discomfort in about half a year. She thinks this period is not short, but considering that the Blood Spirit Pavilion's physician couldn't even perform any treatment, she says she will put her doubts aside. She then asks him what he wants from her in return. On the other side, Manhwa finished the cleaning and appreciated herself for her good work. Suddenly, she hears a sound on the door, thinks it is the third young lord and runs toward the door to open it. But it is the guard of the fourth young master, and he says she shouldn't just open the door for anyone since it could be someone she wasn't expecting. He kidnaps her, takes her to a weird place, and says he has brought her there just to ask for a tiny favor. He asks her to raise her head since he wants to show her something. He offers her a slow, corrosion-prisoned insect and reveals that it's a harmful insect that takes a human body as its host. It starts acting 2 days after entering the human body, and then it will enter the host's internal organs and eat whatever is in its way, causing the host to die in excruciating pain. However, if she drinks the antidote before the insect can act, then there will be no problem. One of his men has kept a sword on her neck, and she seems so scared and asks him why she is telling her about this. He states that she has to come there every other day to report on the third young lord's activities in exchange for the antidote, and she has to do this without anyone knowing. He grabs her hair and is about to put the insect in her mouth. He says she won't be in pain until she listens to his orders. She might lose her vision if the insect accidentally gets into her eye, and she is so scared she just calls her young master to save her. On the other hand, Hajin is with Yeonsim, and she asks him what he wants from her. She knows that he came to see her because she wants something from him. His knowledge has saved one of her people, and she wants to show him her gratitude. Hajin thinks he saved lives before when he was living as an assassin. It was when he was killing the political enemy of the righteous Heavenly Alliance's master. One of his men came to him and informed him about 2 girls who were still alive. They seemed to be subordinates of the dead. His men reached them and asked if they thought they wouldn't be discovered if they hid. Fortunately, their names weren't on the list of people to kill, and his men thought they would get some good food out of the guys. They cried for help and asked them to leave them, and his men said they should be grateful that they didn't kill them. They were about to kill them when Hajin reached there and asked them to stop and let the kids go since their mission was over. His men asked him what he was doing since they could get a lot of money after selling them. He exclaimed that the mission might be over for him since he killed those who needed to be killed, but they got them as a reward and asked him to stay out of there. He said Hajin killed his best friend's wife and children without even blinking an eye, and now he is suddenly being kind to some random girls. He then turns toward the girl and is about to attack her again, while Hajin gets furious and kills the man. In a while, he killed both of his companions and saved the girls. He then asked the girls to run and told them that there was a village about 10 kilometers east of there. He didn't know when he might change his mind, so he asked them to hurry up and get out of sight. One of the women asks him why he is pretending to be kind when he killed their family in front of them. She asked him to kill them too because they couldn't thank them if he saved them. She shouts at him, saying he is no different than those people. At that time, he knew that it was hypocrisy because they were killing their families in front of them and then paying their savior. She cursed him that he would never live happily even after his death, and it wasn't that he was sad to have been insulted after saving them. It just felt like this was all his life was going to be, and the life he was leading already felt like hell. At present, he says there is indeed something he wants from her, but now he will give it up. She is surprised to hear that he is giving up on something he wanted earlier and is now giving her this precious knowledge for nothing. She asks him why he is doing her such a huge favor, and Hajin replies that it's a little difficult to explain. He exclaims that she must have been trying to obtain the green turtle 4-leaf clover because they were someone important.